pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilwoman Chapman.
here.
Councilman Cookingham.
Here.
Councilman Deegan.
Here.
Councilman Reifenberg.
Here.
Supervisor Albrecht.
Here.
Town Attorney Emily Swenson.
Here.
All present.
I'd like a motion to adopt the agenda as is.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? We have no public hearings. I'd like a motion to accept the workshop meeting public hearing of 10/6/25. Can I do them together? Okay. Regular town board meeting, public hearing 10/20/25, and special town board meeting of 10/29/25.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? All correspondence, official correspondence is on file in the town clerk's office. Tonight, we have a couple of presentations, and our first presentation is from the Office of Veterans Affairs of the County of Dutchess, and it's for the Veterans Outreach Program, and Beth Ann Canero is going to do this for us. Just push the button. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me tonight. I appreciate you doing so. And also, we really appreciate all the work that Pleasant Valley already does do for veterans. So everything I'm speaking about now, just so you all know, I've said to almost every other town and village, because I'm just trying to keep it consistent across the board. And once you hear what I present, then you'll understand why. But just a little bit about myself. I am a Marine Corps veteran. I retired after 21 years of service, just recently in 2021. So it was a wild ride, but I enjoyed it. And now I'm just trying to pay my service forward and do the best I can for the communities in Dutchess County. I recently began working with Adam Roach in the Office of Veterans Affairs in July. And so this is a new initiative where he wants me to go out into the communities to expand our services outward. And so I've been doing that. And I'm really looking forward to next year, because after I meet with all the town boards, I'm going to put everything into action. Why we're doing this is we want to maximize what veterans have earned through their service. Why do I say that? This is a simple but powerful statement, as it sets the tone for all of our office's efforts. It emphasizes that veterans are not being granted favors, but are rightfully requesting everything that they've earned. Our mission conveys accountability as we position ourselves as a partner and advocate for helping veterans navigate the complex systems of benefits, both at the federal, state, and county levels. Dutchess County Veterans Affairs is our local bridge to VA benefits, New York State programs, and county level support, as all three entities do have benefits for veterans that are very convoluted and hard to manage for veterans, families, and their caregivers. So that is why our office exists. If you open up your blue folder, you'll see there's a presentation on the left-hand side, and that's the one I'll be referring to. The title of it is Maximizing Veterans Benefits. The other presentation on the right is ideally what I've been asking the towns and villages to put on their veterans landing page, for veterans to be able to go to that presentation and click on all those blue links to even delve further into those benefits I have listed. So you can read that larger one at your leisure, but the one I'll be working on tonight reads Mission to Maximize Veterans Benefits. If you open up to slide 3, that's where I'll start my presentation. So I want to underscore our office's dedication to personalized support. We have a duty to assist and a duty to inform, as per our obligation to the federal VA and our job as veteran service officers, and me now as a veteran outreach coordinator as well. We emphasize dignity and respect for all veterans, families, and caregivers, vital in fostering trust among veterans who may feel alienated by bureaucracy. Our office is more than an administrative center. It is a community hub for care and connection. If you look on the next slide, you'll see our pictures. So I always felt that if you put pictures to names, it makes it a little bit more inviting for people to come to the office. So I am also giving that to all the towns and communities too. So when they walk in, they feel a little bit more comfortable with asking for help. Our next slide is our traction. And what does that mean? We have a relentless and dedicated work to date. So what we do here are, what you see there are metrics from 2020 through 2025. It outlines the number of veterans and families that we have served within Dutchess County for all types of benefits. We also have new clients who enroll regularly, and it also shows our services delivered. It highlights the top services, which is disability compensation and pensions, and less utilized ones like New York State Gold Star annuity, blind annuity, and supplemental benefits. These statistics prove impact and growth, which reinforces our credibility that we work for veterans and their families. By including wartime era breakdowns, the slide does reveal trends, like for instance, the prominence of Vietnam veterans compared to the declining World War II veterans and Korean veterans. You'll note that for 2025, we are on track to serve about 5,000 new veterans and their families. Overall, the data does illustrate success, but also does show challenges. If you look at the Gulf War era and the Afghanistan war veterans, we're not seeing too many of them. And hence why we have this new initiative. The Gulf War era veterans, that's from August 2nd, 1990 through today, just have a stigma about coming to our office. They think that the benefits don't relate to them. They don't feel that they've earned them, or they're busy, or they've got work, they've got family, and they don't make the time to come in. So what we really want to do is tap into those younger veterans. So we have a slew of Vietnam veterans come in, which is great. It's our way of thanking them for their service. But now we do also want to focus on the younger veterans, hence why I'm going around all of Dutchess County. These younger veterans are transitioning from military service and desperately trying to find their niche in the community. It's hard, it's frustrating, and it's demoralizing for many of them. And we recognize that the younger veterans feel as if they cannot wrap their heads around the fact that, yeah, these benefits exist for them too. And you'll also hear a lot of them say, well, I'm fine, I feel good, nothing's broken, there's somebody worse than me. That might very well be the case, but it's not the focus of our efforts. Our focus is to tell them that these benefits are there for them. And it's not just disability compensation. We'll talk about all the benefits are available to them, but from disability compensation to education to vocational training to life insurance to home loans, everything is available to all these veterans, whether they're hurt or not. So we want to convey this to them before they reach some time limits. I look at your town, and you do so much for the veterans here in Pleasant Valley. I pulled this data from the 2019 to 2023 census report, and it has a 5-year projection time to it. Dutchess County has, whatever the number set you look at, they have about 11,086 wartime era veterans, but 13,500 veterans overall, meaning we've added the peacetime service veterans too. With that, Pleasant Valley, of your population, you have about 5% to 6% veterans in your community, with only about 17% of them having reported any type of service connection disability or gone to the VA for any federal benefits. Now this is from the census data, so it's only as good as what people input into the surveys, right? But it's a starting point for us. So with that, there's about 80% of your veteran population who probably could come into our office and receive some type of benefits. So our job is to reach those 80% who haven't come into our office yet. I know that we can do it, and I know that they feel supported here as a Purple Heart community. Your active military Wall of Honor is amazing. It's the only one I've seen so far within Dutchess County, so we appreciate that. But we're focusing on benefits. There's just too many benefits out there that they're missing out on. And so that's what I'll promote with your town as I go along throughout Dutchess County. If you go to the next slide, slide 6, our goal is to serve more veterans, as I said. As we've shown you the reporting numbers, now we have ambition, which is with 13,000 veterans estimated in the county, we acknowledge that many remain unreached. Some barriers include lack of awareness, stigma, a complexity of systems, geographic or mental health challenges, trust issues, and transition challenges. The consequences of these gaps are poverty, homelessness, and isolation, which makes our cause for urgent outreach. The discussion here is about responsibility as we recognize the stakes of inaction, and we are positioning ourselves to tackle these barriers with your help. The benefits earned can mitigate the negative consequences. An outward collaborative approach to our outreach efforts demonstrates our unified commitment to serving our veterans, their families, and caregivers. You notice I still say caregivers because the federal VA does recognize caregivers as a part of the family for their veterans. So if a veteran does have a caregiver, that caregiver rates maybe compensation, they might rate some health care, and they might rate a monthly, they could get some counseling as well. So they're just as important in a veteran's life as their family member. If you look at how we choose to close the gap on slide 7, our strategy is to reduce confusion, broaden communication, and simplify access. Our target audiences include veterans, families, caregivers, municipalities like yourselves, nonprofits, and community organizations. So as I finish my rounds around the towns and cities and the villages, I'm working with the VFWs and the American Legions as well. And then if there's nonprofits in the county, them too, so I can set up mobile VSO sites, meaning I'm going to take the Veterans Benefits Counselor role into your community. Now, Pleasant Valley, you have our Veterans One Stop here, so we're already within your community, which is great. But for Pine Plains, let's say, or Pauling all the way down in the southeast, it's hard for those veterans to come here. So I'm working with those communities and those quadrants of the county to bring my services mobile, whether it be through educational workshops or mobile VSO days. That strategy is developing as I gather my fact-finding by visiting all of you right now. If you look on the next slide, the importance of closing the gap is so that we can get these benefits to these veterans as soon as possible. One of the most, the largest addition to the federal VA has been that PACT Act, which is the Promise to Address Comprehensive Toxics Act of August 10th, 2022. What that means is that there's so many more benefits available to veterans because you're exposed to toxic exposures. I mean, toxic burn pits in Iraq or Kuwait, herbicides in Vietnam, and a lot of conditions that veterans now have are presumptive of their service in either Vietnam or the Gulf War, OIF, or EAF. They don't know that. And so what that means for them is it's a little bit more efficient for them to submit for a disability claim because we already know that their condition was caused by their service in the military. They don't have to prove that to us. But there's timelines to that. So in order to get these veterans the benefits they need, I have to see them so I can address it through that PACT Act right there. But they also, like I said before, there's education and training benefits. Some of those benefits are only available within 1 year of their discharge from the military. Their disability compensation, if we have their claim completed within 1 year of the time they get out, then their compensation starts on their very next day after they were discharged from the military. That's a monthly stipend they can earn right away, tax-free. So education benefits as well. It's so integral for us, if you hear my urgency, to have these veterans come to our office or me get out to them so that we can let them know about the timeline of the benefits available to them. The next slide, slide 9, talks about New York State and county benefits. So New York State doesn't have as many benefits available as the federal VA does, but they're still integral. If a veteran has their disability compensation and service-connected rating, they can submit for property tax exemptions at either 50, 75%, or if they're at 100%, there's talk about maybe them being completely property tax exempt next year. County benefits include GoGo Veterans Transportation, where veterans can get 3 rides per month, round trip, anywhere within Dutchess County. The Favor program, which offers them discounts at various county stores. And then our newest addition, which is Honor a Vet, has been a very big success throughout the county. And we do have one more ceremony for the year on November 12th at the Police Training Center here in Dutchess County, which I think is located in Poughkeepsie on Parker Avenue. So that has been a huge success, one that the Dutchess County Executive is super proud of, and Adam Roach is very happy about too. Okay. So with that, if you go to the next slide, we have a call to action. It's really time to act, which I've been stressing. I probably got ahead of myself too much, but our call to action encourages deeper collaboration with all of you. And our goal is to extend reach, create networks of awareness, and ensure consistent communication channels. We reinforce the message that veterans' issues cannot be solved in isolation, but require collective effort. So right now we're just setting the stage for a partner-based approach, which is what I've been doing throughout the county since September, and I'll be doing it throughout December, and then next year you'll see all the efforts of what I've collected. The next slide, there's 2 phases to my approach. One is the baseline call. It's pretty much what I'm doing right now with you. I'm laying out a practical plan for municipalities and organizations. Some of these you're already doing, which I mentioned, and we're very happy about that. I'm here to reinforce even more of what you're doing, because when other towns and communities see what you do, after hearing a lot of them, they often look at other towns and villages to see, hey, how can we do that? How can we do that? Especially the Purple Heart town. I've had another town ask me, how do they do that? Can you help me? So I sent them that information. They use you as a model from a Purple Heart community. So that's good. And I'm happy about that. Recommendations include designating a veteran liaison, which means I've received names of people who are sitting in the crowd volunteered to be my veteran liaison for the town. So I take their name, their number, their email, and if I have information I have to pass from Dutchess County, I pass it to the veterans liaison, which tries to alleviate the work of your town board, or the town clerk, or whomever you designate supervisor to be my veterans liaison. But it's working. Like, for instance, this coming weekend, using my veteran liaisons from Pine Plains and from Dover, I'll be going to the Millerton Farmers Market, and I'll be offering up my services there for a Veterans Day weekend event. So I will be doing that with your community too. So, as there's 30 communities within Dutchess County, I look to have a hub within each quadrant, and so therefore I can have 4 to 6 communities come together all at once. Next week I'm doing a presentation with the Hyde Park Library Association. Because who knew, but that recommendation came from me from the library up in the northeast corner of Dutchess County, where they've seen a lot of veterans go to their libraries. So next week we'll be presenting to the Libraries Association meeting, which will be held in Hyde Park. So I'm also working on a newsletter for Dutchess County. I plan on making posters from Dutchess County for all your communities. All I need is a place to display it. So I will give you all the material, I'll do the work. I just need someone to display it for me or post things on our website. We want to stress integrating services, sharing success stories, and making veteran referrals routine, or making it routine for veterans and families to have one municipality stop where they can find all information and make appointments. On all these new brochures we're making, posters and flyers, we're having a QR code and a website link which will bring them to a form which they sign up for services and register within Dutchess County, and I have real-time data then coming to me, and I can see how much this effort is working with veterans. So those are all in the works right now, and again, hopefully January we have it ready to go. Suggestions for innovative measures to enhance our collaborative approach with you include quarterly Veterans Benefit Counselor Days. So meaning I will take 1 or 2 days a month to sit in an area of Dutchess County where I'll offer my benefits services to all your veterans. So they can come to me. If one stop isn't available, because we do get pretty busy there, I'll go somewhere else. So that's how much we're trying to make this work for everybody. And then the creative outreach approach, which is slide 12, will probably start to come next year. And what that means is we want to start having local venues host resource lounges. We recognize that the younger veterans especially do enjoy music. They like to get out the bars and listen to the bands. Across the country, I read that there were gaming conventions where they like to go to. I'm not one for gaming, but whatever I need to do to reach veterans, we will do that. So that's more of the creative approach we're working on. On the tech side, some ideas that were passed to me were a veteran text alert system, an interactive benefit navigator tool, and social media collaborations. All that has to occur next year, as I work more closely with the county and the towns to develop that. So we also, we want to reach them where they work, where they socialize, and where they gather. So some of those include veteran business spotlights, faith partnerships, and youth mentorships are also encouraged. So if I can get maybe the Dutchess County BOCES involved too, that might be able to help us. These creative approaches demonstrate adaptability, aiming to meet veterans where they live, work, and socialize, as we recognize that the different wartime era veterans enjoy different aspects of life. So lastly, we bring our discussion full circle with the summary on page 13. Our office's mission is to safeguard veterans' rights and ensure timely access to benefits that they have earned. We want to stress the urgency of filing claims quickly due to time limits on some benefits, and the first step is to make the call to our office or come to our office, which is literally right up the street. The veterans will be required to complete a veteran data sheet, a disclosure form, and provide discharge documents. Those are the 3 things they just have to do in order to make an appointment with me or any one of the veterans counselors there at the office. Once they do that, we do all the work for them, including helping find their records, both military records and military service treatment records. It's as good as they want it to be. I can tell you, I have veterans who come back right away, and I also have veterans who they lose their motivation, and a package sits on my desk as I wait for that veteran to come back, because for some reason or the other, they just lose their interest and continue on with the process. And it is a process that could take up to 6 months, but it's better than just sitting around and doing nothing for themselves. So with that, I thank you for having me here today, and please recognize that my position at Dutchess County Veterans Affairs was made and exists to serve you, the communities. Adam really wants me out in the community, and once I finish all this groundwork of meeting with all of you, I will be out there in the community more. So if you have any questions, you have my business card in the folder, and Mary Beth, I left you a pile of my business cards and stickers to post. But I do look forward to working with all of you and whomever you designate as a veterans liaison. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
That was wonderful.
Beth Ann, are we able to get this slide in our, can you email this to us?
Absolutely. Want me to send it to Mary Beth?
Yeah,
Or-
if you
Yes,
could, that'd be
that would be
great.
good.
Yeah, that'll be fine. I can
Yeah.
definitely
Okay.
do that.
So Jennifer has a son in the military. I had
Oh, yeah.
one 10 years who's out now. And Mary Beth has a daughter in the military. I don't know about son-in-law.
My father
So
was
we're
was a
all
veteran,
pretty
so
much
was my
involved
father-in-law.
in this. And I think you found your liaison. So I don't think there'll be, and if there's ever a time that you want to have one of your gatherings here for the veterans, if you want to
Absolutely.
invite,
Okay.
I'm sure we can make time for an evening or during the day or something when we're not
That would
using
be
this
great.
room.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. Yeah, see, I told you, you already do so much for the.
Yes, absolutely.
serve
We're
the
all
military.
involved somehow.
That's great. I do have my first educational workshop. I'm starting to plan in Beacon on December 9th. So from that, I'll probably maybe take you up on your offer and do one here, maybe January,
Absolutely.
February.
We
and
would love to have you.
We'll get this ball. Thank you so much.
Well, if it's February, you'll be in our new building
Great.
Yes,
All
up
right,
the
good for
road,
you.
so,
Mhm.
yeah, we
All
would
right.
welcome that. Thank
Great.
you.
yes,
All right.
thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Okay, our next presentation is about MS4, which I still completely hardly understand. But Doug from MJ Engineering is going to explain an overview of general permit and Pleasant Valley's compliance statute. And he's from, again, MJ Engineering.
Yeah, and it's status, not statue, so you're not worried about like this of me going to town anywhere. Oh, okay. And while I'm at it, I'm going to bring Joel Bianchi into this conversation. He is it's a long title, but basically the Principal Senior Vice President of Civil Engineering at MJ, and he's, so MJ Engineering has been working with a lot of communities on their MS4. You've probably seen a proposal from us, and really the goal with the MS4 is to continue to improve water quality in New York State. And what that generally can boil down to is that when I was a kid, there was this tendency for rivers to catch on fire. And I'm not kidding. So there was rivers and ponds, we had a lot of pollution, a lot of water was getting discharged, a lot of pollutants were being discharged into the waterways. And so the EPA decided that we were gonna have to start managing how we were treating our water bodies throughout the country. And in doing so, one of the things that they started to do is creating these programs, which is the MS4. And so I'm gonna bring Joel in now. That was a little bit of warm up while I was trying to remember how to do this. And hopefully he'll join in a moment. And he'll get to see me. Is there anything over there, Mary Beth, that you need to do? You did it. And I want to use computer audio. Hi Joel, can you hear me?
Yes, Doc, I can hear you.
Okay, so the system we have here is pretty high tech. Basically, I'm taking a microphone and putting it very close to my computer. So I am going to play with this for a second to make sure that you're heard. So, interestingly, Joel.
Listen, it could be a lot worse.
Oh, no, I just muted. So my volume's all the way up. All right, Joel, say something.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear Joel? So it could be a little more louder? Yeah, so where's the speaker on this guy? Try again, Joel. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, it's like not exactly. One thing I never really.
Just speak again.
Hello?
It's coming from under your computer.
Okay, so, yep, so we're gonna try this a little different, Joel. Try that, Joel. Speak, and maybe speak up.
Hello? Does this work?
Wow, that's crazy. This mic is not very good at picking up. Well, you know, an alternative might be, so Joel, what I'm gonna do is mute you, and I'm gonna call you on my phone.
Okay.
And you might mute yourself for me.
Hey, phone for me.
All right, Joel, I've got you on my speaker.
Okay.
How's that go? All right. So with that, and Joel, you might be sharing your screen, or would you like me to bring it up?
No, all I was gonna, all I'm doing is going over the proposal that we sent them.
Okay. I think we're ready, Joel.
All right. Okay, so, Joel Bianchi, I'm Senior Vice President of Civil Engineering for MJ. I work with Doug. We had provided you a proposal, I believe, a month or so ago that covers providing assistance to the town as you are an MS4. That is a regulatory responsibility that's been delegated from the state down to several towns in the state, and you are lucky to be one of those. And the way we structured the proposal for you were, I would say, four categories. One is a category where we are providing, I would say, really support to the town because the town is part of the Dutchess County Stormwater Consortium. It's really just being engaged with that committee on behalf of the town of Pleasant Valley, attending monthly meetings that we've been through 2025 and would continue through 2026. And then some coordination with the town stormwater officer, just as we go through the process, doing quarterly updates for your permit and then doing an annual update to the permit that is due in January or December of every year. And then beyond that, what it is, it looks at tasks that the general permit stipulates certain time frames in which the MS4 has to have certain things done. And the way we structured it is those items that are past due, which were due within 6 months of the effective date of the permit. Then there's another group of things that were due within 12 months of the effective date of the permit. So those are things that were really past due, and the town's MS4 should have had those completed already. And then we look forward to items that are due 2 years from the effective date of the permit, which are those that are really due in 2026. So that's coming up in the next fiscal year. And if you had a chance to look through the permit without going into great detail, a lot of it has to do with reviewing any existing local laws or regulations that the town has in place and make sure that they meet the current standards as stipulated in the general permit, the GP24 that DEC issued and that the town of Pleasant Valley, as well as all of them, MS4s are subject to. Then there are other items where we have to look at active construction inventories, active construction sites in the town, and then developing enforcement plans. without going into great detail, all of the subtasks that we've identified are directly related to each MS4's obligation to comply with certain timeframes within the general permit. So without going into greater detail, that's sort of like a very high level look at what we had put forward for you guys to consider. And with those, we put, estimated budgets to do the work. I mean, we've done this for a number of towns throughout the state. We're doing it actively for a handful of towns in Dutchess County as well as other counties in the state. So we have a pretty good handle on what we need to do. Actually, we know exactly what we need to do. The effort for every town is slightly different based on, how active construction is in the town. Do you have a lot of environmental features that we have to be aware of? And that's why we do these as a budget, an hourly not to exceed, so that if the effort for certain tasks was less than we budgeted, then you would realize that savings. So with that, if the board members have any questions or concerns, that's why we're here, to answer those questions or concerns.
I haven't seen a proposal, so it's tough to ask any question.
Yeah.
Like I don't think anybody's seen an actual proposal, so.
So, Joel, I have the proposal up. I mean, we can briefly go through it, but I do think it would be a little helpful.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize the entire board didn't have a proposal, so I can, if you want to bring it up to view for the board, I can certainly sort of go through that stuff, go through each item.
And I think it would be kind of helpful, I'm going to try to do this quick, Joel, is that part of what the MS4 and what this permit actually allows to do, if you really want to boil it down to its simplest form, is that I mentioned earlier that there was a lot of pollution going into our water bodies throughout the country. And for example, here we got Wappachers Creek. One of the things that the MS4 and what this permit is intended to do is to have your municipality, in your case, demonstrate that you are trying not to pollute any more tomorrow than you did yesterday. Right? So every year you're going to have to renew, or there's a frequency that we're going to renew your permits. There's some milestones that the DEC is going to ask you to meet. So as we kind of take those steps, so there's certain things. There's some easier stuff that talks about education and public outreach, and that's a part of this proposal. And there's some pieces in there, and that's going to maybe be a little bit of lighter lift. Another part of it is mapping. One of the nice things about the mapping is that, think of it this way, all the water, when it rains, catches into your storm drain systems. You see the grates out in your parking lot, that water picks up and ultimately ends up in the river. Is that water cleaner tomorrow than it was yesterday? Those are the kinds of things we're trying to create. So with doing that, one of the things is mapping your entire system only on the town's property. So if it's State Road 44, that won't count, but there are going to be town properties that have storm systems that ultimately discharge, say in I'm just going to use Wappachers Creek as the example because that's generally where everything's going to go here before it gets to the Hudson. So that needs to all be mapped. One of the benefits that the town has done a really good job at is getting a grant through the county to actually have them come in and do all that mapping for you. That's a huge lift that has taken a burden that's off of the town. So we don't have that in our proposal, but we have done that for a lot of municipalities. Second piece, so you have education, outreach, we have mapping, then we're going to start talking about like open construction projects. What's currently being built, right? One of the examples might be like IPP Solar, right? That's a project that's ongoing construction. There's stormwater measurements, there's silt fence, there's things. There's some complication, there's some complexities to projects like that. With that example, that's an ongoing project that needs to be accounted for, or people need to be aware of that project's going on because you're an MS4, and every time you dig a hole and it rains, it gets mud washes away. We don't want mud ending up in the river the same way we don't want pollutants. So there's the projects that are under construction, and then finally been built over time? What's the completed construction projects, and how are those working? Especially in the instances where they're on town property. And then there's gonna be other little pieces of it that you're probably a little bit more familiar hearing. So there's probably some budget items like when you sweep the roads, or you were out there and cleaning out the catch basins, you know. The highway department will go out there and like vacuum. That is also housekeeping. That's another component or another layer, minimum control measure of this permit. And so as the town continually submits to the DEC just saying, hey, we're working on this, we're trying to make the water better tomorrow. That is the simplest way to talk about the goals of what the MS4 is. Because I can assume that most of you may have never heard of this before. So that's just a little overview to help you. So sorry, Joel.
No, I think you gave a very broad review of it. So if I can go into like the detail of the proposal, is that viewable for the town board so they can see that, or?
Yep, I've got it up.
Can we get a copy?
Okay.
I don't know how legible it is for them.
Yeah.
Up on the
So-
screen, but
Fine. So I'll go through these, and town board members, if you have any questions as I go through this, please stop me and ask those questions. So task one, which is what I talked about, is sort of engaging with Dutchess County, the coalition, as they loosely are called. It's the town is a member of that coalition. There are a number of municipalities in Dutchess County that are members. Those are monthly meetings where everyone gets together and talks about various deadlines that are due. The consortium at some level is starting to take some of the load off the MS4s so they can do things at the county level and then share them down to the towns so they can utilize that data. They're still in their infancy stages where they're not doing a robust amount of work, but they are doing work that is valuable to each and every MS4. So what Doug has been doing for 2025 has been attending those meetings on behalf of the town, and then we continue to do so through 2026. And an example where the coalition is sort of ramping up their efforts is they were able to secure a grant for Pleasant Valley, I believe, LaGrange, and Hyde Park to do the GIS mapping of infrastructure that's owned by each municipality. So that's an example where they are increasing their role to assist the MS4s. The other subtask under that is sort of working with the town stormwater officer, just carrying information. Hey, this was talked at the consortium. These are things that you can implement. You know, that's sort of that conduit between what we're doing at the county level for the town and then communicating with the town's MS4 stormwater officer. So task 2, which has several subtasks, talks about items that were supposed to be done by every MS4 within 6 months of the effective date of coverage. The effective date of coverage for every MS4 was March of 2024. So these next 4 items were to be completed or substantially started and completed within 6 months of March 2024. So that put it in around August of 2024. So as Doug had indicated, mapping, that is being performed by the county. They have their internal targets to get that done, and we are not helping with that simply because they're handling that entirely. So what our task A is an enforcement response plan. That really is cradle to grave. If there are issues where a private developer is constructing something in the town that is subject to the general permit, has not followed the town's regulations and or the state regulations, it provides a clear path to the town stormwater officer on how to carry out enforcement actions. Your current code has this, but it really needs to be updated. I think it was part of the original model law from 2003. So it really needs to be updated. It's 20 plus years old. So there's a lot of things that need to be added that gives more power and more authority to the town to carry out its obligations under the state stormwater permit. Task B is this construction site inventory and inspection tracking. Again, this applies to any active construction site in the town that is subject to the general permit. We have to make sure that the current database that the state holds is accurate and reflects all active construction projects. And then there's an ability to track the inspections that are being conducted, not only by the developers, which are once a week, they provide it to the town. Also, the town has an obligation to perform its own inspections as an MS4, typically every 6 months. But if there is a higher level of sensitivity relative to the project, i.e. it's near an environment of notable concern, there should be more frequency. So that's basically creating the database of these are active construction sites, these are the inspections being done, this is when they're being done. If there's a non-compliant inspection report, ensuring that the town is following up, saying you had an issue on the site, you noted it in a report, a subsequent report or reports shall document that those issues have been resolved. Or if the town did an MS4 inspection, found that there were non-compliant issues, that there's a clear tracking system that the town followed up with that inspection and any issues were remedied in a timely way. So task B sort of creates that inventory, that database covering active construction sites and the inspections that were done and how the cradle to grave closure was occurring on any non-compliance issues. Task C is enhanced requirements for impaired water bodies, where that looks at certain pollutants of concern that exist in various water bodies that are within the town, and to see how those would affect any local laws that the town currently has, because the town, I believe, has 2 local laws, one out in your general code dealing with stormwater, and then specific to zoning that has more teeth, that talks about what is required to get to the planning board, what are the construction phase requirements, and what are the enforcement requirements. So we would likely have to synthesize those existing laws to marry up to current environmental features within the town that need to be brought forward and included in those local laws. So any questions on the 6-month past due on the EDC, which are task 2, A, B, and C?
No questions.
Okay. So the next group of items are those things that were to be done in 1 year of the effective date of coverage, which they were to be done by March of 2025. And the first one is developing a construction oversight program. So that's, again, that would be something that would probably be, in its final form, would be a local law, but it would really be a working document internal to the town. And we found that a lot of towns have this, but it's not in a written form. It doesn't show the state the structured mechanism with how the town oversees active construction sites subject to the general permit. You know, how does the town authorize the soil disturbance? How is the SWIP reviewed? Who reviews the SWIP during construction? Who is looking after construction on behalf of the town? That's the stormwater management officer. He may delegate it to an outside consultant, much like us. What are the actionable items if there's a non-compliance that occurs? Does it elevate from warning to stop work order to a violation to monetary penalties? What happens with required stormwater management agreements that are required between the town and the owner-operators of these active construction sites? How do you close out projects? Do you document completed systems with as-built drawings? Who reviews and approves those? So it really brings forward what a lot of towns already do, but it's really not documented in a clear flow chart for the state and everyone that's involved to see it. So the next one is prioritizing construction sites. Up in task 2, we were going to identify active construction sites, which is really looking at the state database of open permits. We would, vet that out to say, are these actually still active construction? We would work with your town's code official and MS4 coordinator, say, yep, these are still active, or no, these are closed out, and they should have been closed out. So once we look at what are the active construction sites, we prioritize them in terms of where they're located and what's being done. As an example, is if a project disturbs over 5 acres, that has a heightened level of oversight, and that would be considered a priority project that gets more attention. If there's projects next to a critical water body, next to a critical wetland, those are things that get higher priority and are looked at a little bit more frequently to make sure that whatever's going on in construction is being done so in a proper manner in accordance with the general permit. So that's what Task B does. And then Task C is developing a post-construction SMP inspection and maintenance program. Now this deals with projects that are completed. Every MS4, including the town of Pleasantville, when a project goes through the planning phases and construction phases, the state requires each and every owner-operator to execute a maintenance agreement with the town. That maintenance agreement spells out obligations that owner-operator of a stormwater system has, and that would include doing post-construction inspections and maintenance. And a perfect example would be is if you have a stormwater basin out in front of your lot for a parking lot, maybe for a gas station. You know, those stormwater systems have to be inspected and maintained annually, biannually, whether it's cleaning out debris or mowing the lawns or what have you. The agreement spells out those requirements, and it also ensures that it's getting done by some. It's not the municipality because you don't own it. It's a private party, and this one basically
He's
puts
further away
forward
from the phone.
a defined program as to how the town will make sure
Joel?
these items are getting tackled.
Joe, you making your way back to your phone?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, no, yeah, but, would you like him to repeat any of that?
Yeah, I'll probably have to repeat it all. I thought it was my computer. I had to walk away and plug my computer in. So, should I repeat that whole section?
Yeah, they heard it.
Okay. All right. So then the next item is Task 4, which is all the things that are supposed to be done in 2026. So that's implementing and monitoring a monitoring location sampling protocols. It sort of went back to what Doug talked about. Like, if there are impaired water bodies, which are TMDL watersheds or 303D listed water bodies, you want to see if you have stormwater infrastructure that is owned by the town that discharges to any of these water bodies. We have to identify locations to sample, and then ultimately, long term, it's what are the sampling protocols? What are you sampling for? What's the frequency of sampling that's going to happen? And ultimately, something of this nature, once the program is up and running for this piece probably could be handled by town staff for some parts. Task 4D would be implementing the illicit discharge trackdown program. You know, illicit discharges are anything from a failed septic system with a surface discharge, people dumping, you know, waste oil into drains, or stormwater discharges that are illicit in nature, you know, sediment-laden discharge. You know, I would imagine for the town of Pleasant Valley, a lot of these may come in through complaints to the zoning official, and there's probably a process that is followed. But if there's not a written protocol that deals with all suspected illicit discharges that you may encounter, as far as how it's tracked down, how it is monitored, basically how that complaint would be closed out, this would do that for you. And then Task C as a subset is basically how to create that illicit discharge elimination program. So B and C are sort of tied together where you have a track down, how do you identify illicit discharge? C would be how do you eliminate the discharges? A lot of that is some level of tracking it, but also there may be some level of public outreach and making that available to the general public so they have awareness. And then Task D is doing inventory of municipal facilities specific to the stormwater program. Municipal facilities would be your highway garage, maybe you have a closed landfill, police station, town hall, parks, where you identify what the facility is. Is it a high priority, meaning is a park next to an impaired water body? information about what party or what department of the town is responsible for oversight of that location. Is there any SWIP associated with development on that property? How are you managing waste on site? You know, are there trash receptacles? In the case of a highway garage, do you have a spill prevention program? Are there inventory of hazardous chemicals, and how are they being stored and maintained and inventoried? So that's really what that goes through, and it covers all town facilities. So I sort of covered the whole scope, and then we provided what our schedule was and what the cost would be for each task. And sort of my closing remarks, Doug, to the board, and I'm sure the board is aware of this. The MS4s have been delegated this responsibility from the state of New York, and unfortunately, these delegations of responsibility is largely an unfunded mandate. So the towns, a lot of towns do see grants for this money or for some of this work. Example is Dutchess County got a pretty sizable grant to do one of the more substantial and costly elements, which is doing the MS4 mapping. And there's always opportunities on every grant cycle, but this is largely an unfunded mandate that comes from the state and is handed down to the MS4s in the state. So with that, any questions that the board may have?
Yeah. So when is the Dutchess County gonna have the mapping done? Is that done right now?
No. I can answer this, Joel. So they just
Started?
Oh, no, they will be starting soon. Actually, I think there's going to be a meeting on December 17th. I will be in attendance of that meeting, so will Rob Edmonds. And I don't know, Mary, if you want to come hang out and learn a little bit about the mapping. But we're going to have a meeting with Dutchess County,
Yep.
and they're going to start going over this. So they haven't started their field work yet, but they plan to start soon. And I believe their goal is to complete that work somewhere around 2026, somewhere in there. We'll see how quick they can get everything done. And then eventually what's going to happen is that information that they collect, they're going to put in like a GIS type software. And then that information, eventually they're going to hand the keys to that information, figuratively, over to the town, which then you'll find a way to maintain it. And so the highway department has some ideas about using some software that MJ's taken a look at. It's got some capabilities, but there might be some shortfalls with using that. It's a great software from a highway department's standpoint, but for this it might be a little awkward, but we can help the town work through that.
Right, because I know right now we have a lot of different drainage and, where they have to clean up and everything. So if it gets all mapped, I mean, because I was just looking, you're stating the grants and stuff, and then my biggest concern is like going through the different things, seeing part 6, D-3, active construction sites. We're having enough problems just getting our zoning and building inspector out there, and then adding more to their plate, it's a whole nother ballpark, So this is something that you guys would sublet in a way and do for us, or because with having like active construction sites, like you're saying 5 acres or bigger, if it's close to a creek or something like that, I mean, somebody's gotta be going up. You stated in there like weekly review of it, making sure that they're staying up to doing the silk fence and everything like that. And then we just heard the rain coming now, so you could only imagine what some work sites could be looking like, this tomorrow morning. Prime example, the storm we just had this past weekend, that a lot of people lost power. So with that, if there's some big construction jobs going on in the town, I just don't see our, unfortunate, our zoning or building being able to rush right on out there to check.
Yeah, I might let Joel help answer that question, because he's probably got some more tangible examples.
So if I understood the question, it was sort of, it was a concern of town staff's bandwidth to sort of be responsive to maybe active construction sites in the town, and sort
Correct.
of doing that search and seek. Is that sort of what I heard?
Yes.
So what I would say is every town does it differently. So I would say that to handle that, what we have seen it to be the most successful, you have an active construction site. Presumably they came through the planning board for some land use approval. You would, before they go to construction, instruction, you basically say, hey, the town is a regulated MS4. We have a regulatory responsibility. We want the owner applicant to fund an escrow to cover a third party that would basically be an extension of the town on MS4 stuff, and they will do periodic inspections on behalf of the town, and then basically push that cost directly onto the applicant.
Okay.
Because I would say a vast majority of our towns, I would probably say 95% of them, do it exactly that way. Because the way they look at it, and this is I think a very appropriate way to look at it is, yes, the town has a regulatory responsibility, but because of towns don't want to or don't have the ability to hire someone specifically for this because there may not be enough volume to support it, they will delegate that to a third party. Third party professionals should be paid for, and then the applicant should be paying for that assistance.
Okay. And then also, I mean, we're in November, so 2025 is just about over. So with some of the stuff, is that stuff that would be retroed where you're just trying to ask for forgiveness in a way with trying to do some of the paperwork and that, where it was stating like some of the things were going to be done by, you know, March or 2025, we kind of went past that. Or is-
I think the only real world case in that proposal that you're seeing, time that was spent or that we might be retroactively asking for money for would be going to the MS4 meetings.
Okay.
So it really wasn't a whole lot. Some of this was just trying to learn the town.
Right.
And so we kind of worked through a lot of those steps.
Gotcha.
And then the other benefit is that with Dutchess County having the grant fee, like the big lift.
Correct,
is
with the
having
mapping.
that Mapping to
Well,
actually react to. So,
So on that meeting, December 17th, would you be able to see what programming that, like, the other townships would be able to get, plus Pleasant Valley, to be able to, because it'd be nice for them to be able to go on the computer and read, hey, this is the infrastructure of, you know, all that we have, when they get it done.
yeah, you know, 'cause I'm actually wondering that same thing.
You know what I mean? So we don't buy Excel when it should have been something on, you know, something
Well,
else.
we actually have iWorks,
Right, but if they're
and
gonna,
iWorks really keeps track of a lot of,
right, but
of
that's what
all
I'm
the
worried about.
basins.
It-
We,
that's-
yeah, the guys are keeping up on when they clean them, when there's an issue with them, when they have to replace them.
Right, but that's
There's
not-
little dots all over the place.
But what you're gonna see, I guarantee, it's like with AutoCAD, you're gonna see some things are gonna work with it or not work with it. So that's why I just wanna make sure what we're using is gonna be able to read.
So so MJ has a really in-depth, GIS department. We
Yep.
have a lot of like survey, we have some, just what I would think of as very full choice. And one of the things we had them take a look at, so I have an account with iWorks, so I can go in there and look around. And so what I did is I shared that with some people in our GIS group, and they took a look at it. To boil it down very quickly, iWorks seems like an exceptional software for your highway department to manage like work orders.
Correct, what to
inventory,
fix and
what
what's got done.
It's awesome for that, and they seem to really like it, so I would not make that change. The funny switch that gets hit is sort of the handshake between what ArcGIS can prepare, which is gonna be really where the county's gonna wanna house all that data of all the towns that they're
Correct.
doing. So I think I'm answering your question where you can export out of ArcGIS and put it into iWork.
Okay.
Which is very cool, but anything that gets edited inside iWorks
It's not gonna go back.
can't handshake back to ArcGIS.
Right.
So that's as far as we know. 'Cause
Okay.
We were messing with it to see, like.
Right, we have the same
Like-
issue out at school between School Tool and Google Classroom, like some things mesh and some don't, and, you
Some
know.
mesh and some don't. So
Correct.
in my opinion, it's, stick with iWorks because, it's keeping things moving, keeping the town
Correct.
moving forward. And then, to answer your question, so I think I believe it is the 17th is the date, I hope I'm not wrong. But that, on that day, I'm hoping to learn a little bit more about what they're gonna do.
Correct.
And better answer your question.
Yep, perfect, thank you.
That's it? All right, excellent.
Is there any chance that you can send the full proposal to every board member after tonight?
Sure.
just so we can look at it and then make a decision of what we're doing.
Yeah, totally.
Thanks. I appreciate it, man.
I
Thank you.
apologize for the confusion. All right. With that, Joel, I'll let you go.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your evening.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
You're welcome. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak and meet with you tonight. And what would you like me to?
And safe travels back home.
All right. Sounds good.
Can you can just push that off? Okay. And then,
I'll put everything back in the Michael box.
right, in the Michael box.
Actually, you need it, right? You need the stuff for there?
Oh, you need to go up.
Do you, yeah. Okay, so while we're doing that, I'd like to let everybody know that our community garden this year, which is up at Baker Field off of Saw Point Turnpike, actually gave 2,473 pounds of food, which they call 2,473 pounds of love, to the food pantry. They are in the process of preparing the garden for next year, and they are doing some planting, but they are still, to this day, producing out of that garden. So they all deserve a lot for what they do. They just are so dedicated. I've never seen a bunch of people any more dedicated.
Can I just add,
Sure.
because I've watched them evolve from nothing to what they are today,
Yeah.
is if you ever want to learn how to garden, just go up there when they're there, because there's things that I've been doing completely wrong with tomato plants, and I went up there once and they changed everything. So you don't have to go up there, just go up there and volunteer, but even just spend a day up there, the wealth of knowledge they have is pretty insane.
So then the other thing I would like to bring up tonight is that we have an issue in the United States, New York State, with the SNAP program, which is a service that is in a freeze mode right now because of not having the funding. So I reached out to the food pantry in Pleasant Valley, and Steve told me that he would like food delivered, if you can, to drop off food. We're going to put a box here at the town hall. The Pleasant Valley Firehouse has a box outside, so you never have to put it inside. And the Saw Point Firehouse has a very nice Rubbermaid container that will keep it out of the elements and whatnot. And also, being that our food pantry became a 501c3, you can also donate money to them, and you can make checks payable to the PV Food Bank, pantry, and you can either drop it off to them on Wednesday night from 5:30 until like 6:30, 7 o'clock, or you can mail it to 92 Martin Road, Pleasant Valley. And he said that that would probably be the best thing that he could ask for everybody to do. And there are some people really in trouble from this, so I implore everybody that can even bring one can item somewhere to please try to do it. Okay, I'd like
Can
to.
I just
Oh, I'm
add one
sorry.
other thing? I know we
Yes.
talk about the one food pantry a ton, but if you noticed when you were walking in tonight, there's actually a church next door, and they were wheeling groceries and stuff out to people's cars as well. And I just want to point out that there is a great organization in the same parking lot here who also helps people that are in need. If you do need assistance, they are here and they're willing to help, and if we can help them and donate as well. So we're actually blessed with two different groups. So.
Yeah, a phenomenal bunch of people that do that work. Okay, I'd like a motion to open the public comment portion of the meeting.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Anybody would like to speak? Okay, not seeing any. I'd like a motion to close the public comment portion.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Okay, new business discussion. We need permission for the town clerk to advertise, so I'd like to, for highway material bids for 2026. This includes wash sand, stone, gravel, latex, bituminous, how do you say it? Bituminous, okay, materials, calcium chloride, blades for the snow plows, and guardrails.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? 12B, develop bid for new town hall move, permission for town clerk to advertise bid. Councilman Cookingham.
So today I was emailing back and forth with Emily and Beth Ann, and we're looking to try to advertise for a move from everything from here from between January 1st and March 1st, because hopefully Mr. Reifenberg will state we're still staying on projection there at the new town hall. And then also we will need everything moved from the Helen Aldridge Park also to the new town hall. With that said, Mary Beth and I were also talking tax season will be at the end of January there, right? So
Yeah, I start collecting mid-January.
mid-January, so we're hoping to be able to countersink that. And like the email went between myself and Emily, I just want to make sure we leave some loopholes there. Unfortunate, just because one, weather. What we're looking for is going from a Thursday, shut down the town hall and do a move Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and hopefully Sunday have IT check everything, and Monday get everybody back in to check all their spots, to make sure we're up and running before Tuesday we get back the new town hall opened up. So that's what I'm looking to see, how we can make sure we get that correct.
Yeah, so what we need to do is put together an RFP. I think the reason we were sort of waiting was to see what that time frame might
Correct.
look like. Because obviously we want, someone to make a proposal who will be available at the right time. And I think the reason we still have a range is not knowing when exactly we're going to be finished, right?
Correct.
So what we need to do is really write out a description of what it is we need done,
Okay.
roughly how much stuff and, the
Right.
timeline and everything else. We might want to have a walkthrough date where proposers could come and just look it over for themselves. So yeah, I'll be glad to work with you to
Okay.
put that into an RFP
And
format.
then that way, the move stuff here and then also up at Helen Aldridge, so then that way we get it, all in one. And then also, if, to make sure there's a clause in there, weather-wise and stuff like that, just because
Sure.
after November 1st, at any time, we could have a big storm, so.
And do we definitely want to do it all in one shot? Because I think Mary Beth was saying maybe they could go earlier, or, but is the idea that we would do everything at once?
We're hoping to do everything at once. The biggest thing is we're still checking on projection, right now. If it goes how it should be, I don't want to jinx anything, then yes, all at once. But there could be a chance where we might have to do a two-step. So I would want to have like both prices to be able to be set that way.
And the IT would be entirely we're going to disconnect everything and reconnect it on the
Correct.
other end? Yeah, okay.
Right?
Yes, so the IT company disconnects everything, the moving company boxes everything, brings it over, IT unpacks and connects everything.
Got it.
So the moving company is just, moving.
The
it
heavy
from-
lifting.
Yeah.
Are they packing?
We should probably confirm that because the conversation was a few months ago, but just verifying what they exactly need.
The IT is going to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Is that it? You all okay. 12C, accepting the resignation of the bookkeeper Melanie Festigi. I'd like a motion to accept the resignation of the bookkeeper and to motion to accept and to advertise for the bookkeeper position on Indeed.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? And we would like to wish her all the best with what she does. She's not leaving until the 31st of December, so we'll say something else again in our December meeting. Old business discussion. Discussion in regards to Salt Point Cemetery. At our last meeting, we had a discussion with the Mr. Lum, who runs the Salt Point Cemetery Association, and they're going to be in a little bit of a problem here in the next year or two. I was advised that we go ahead and start doing some things for them with the mowing. So I had our groundskeeper, Todd, go up there and look at it. He's saying that if we have a John Deere, a 48-inch, that if we use that and weed whacked, it would probably take 2.5 hours each time they had a mow. So we have the equipment and the means to do this. So I'd like to, if you want me to put together some pricing for this, or I don't know how you might want me to try to figure this out. But it was advised to me that we go ahead and try to do some of this for them.
Who advised you?
Warren.
Who?
Warren.
Okay. So just looking at the financials that they supplied, and I think it was kind of the conversation we had a few years prior to that with them, is if you look at their their yearly cost on mowing, it's 6,000 something. They still have a significant they still have money for a couple years of mowing, even if they didn't have to do anything. So for me personally, I'm all good for helping them, but personally I think maybe they can do it for another year, and in that year the town steps in and tries to maybe find a group or volunteers, kind of like what was recommended by the residents, to maybe see if there's somebody out there that's willing to do it. And if not, they're still going to be in a fine spot when we do the budget for the following year to include it in the budget, because the budget we have right now doesn't include the 2.5 hours to mow, and they're not in a spot that they're going to be hurting for next year, and they probably wouldn't be hurting the following year either, but it would at least give us a year to at least look into doing something besides just paying for the mowing for it. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I obviously don't want them to get in a position where we end up taking it over anyway.
Yeah, that's what
but
he
at the
said
same
to be careful of.
Yeah, but has he looked at the financials?
Yes, he did.
Well, financially, they're not hurting right now.
No, that's why I said
And
that.
the residents seem like they wanted us to at least look into the idea of if we can volunteer, or if there's some way to do some kind of shared agreement where maybe they potentially pay us a little bit, but to just jump in and do everything for them, there's really no expenses for them at that point, and they have the money in the account. So that's just my opinion. The board can do whatever, but I think we shouldn't just jump head first into this when they have the money to get through the next summer, and look for other options.
Well, I agree. The other thing is, well, maybe we can just calculate out, ask them how many times they paid for that service last year, whether it was 10 times, 12 times, and then we could break down what it would be for us to actually just pay for our 2 employees to go up there and do that work, and that would be a lot different, paying that price than it would paying for a company to come in with, their machines, their equipment. So we're technically, donating our machine, our weed whacker, but just they would be possibly paying for the 2 employees to go up there, which would probably be a third of the cost of the 6,000 possibly, to try to help them out same way, to try to.
Do we know how often they're mowing it right now? Is it weekly?
That's what I was saying, get a breakdown.
Once a week.
Because I think there's 3 ways that we could break this apart.
Of course, it's once a week depending on weather and stuff, right?
So between, if we decided to jump in and help, maybe we mow every 10 days, we get volunteers, and then they kick in some money as well, and we split it up. Instead of, I think it seems like we're all in agreement.
There's several different, but like I said to Warren when he and I were talking about it, it's not a national emergency immediately, and they did the right thing by coming to us now instead of coming to us in 2027 and saying, we don't have anything, because then he said, then you run into a real problem, yeah. So, okay, 13B, Katy Basketball Court update and next steps for Katy Park. Councilman Deegan.
Yeah, so hopefully we get to spread some joy here. Not that the rest of this stuff wasn't joyful, but you know. So this is, if you guys remember this is actually this is the old presentation. So I thought before I jumped into Katy, I would kind of go back to what was presented a year and a half ago. So this was back in May. And this was really just to kind of explain what the board was trying to do at the time between the playgrounds and between this project that was looming in the future that we didn't really talk about, but that was Katy. So variety of things there, right? We were, and this is really what drove it. This was coming out of COVID. People were kind of stir crazy. So we realized mental health was an issue for everybody, and we wanted to do something about it. And I saw it firsthand at Rec. That was the first time that I had seen after COVID where people were out getting together, you know, having fun again, and it was happening. For me, I saw it at the Pleasant Valley Rec soccer sidelines where parents were coming together and kids were happy again, and it really lifted up everybody. We all needed it. So I think that, personally, that's what drove my motivation for this project. And the thought was, you know, we bring new playgrounds in, and then we do this new basketball court, and we're going to get new folks that want to come in. There's new energy. It's a new era, and it was kind of just turning the page of, there was this thought that we just hadn't done anything for a long time, and I think to a degree that was true. And I think there was also this feeling that people had kind of given up on us. We had given up on ourselves a little bit. So the point of this was to try to turn that around, and I think we did. And as a reminder, in terms of the littlest ones that benefit from this, so our population is just under 10,000. And if you do the breakdown there of from 20 to 24-year-olds all the way down, it's 30% of the population that we were looking to serve, you know, the playgrounds for. This was really the presentation about the playgrounds. But part of this is that early in that presentation, you know, we wanted to address the kids with the playgrounds. We wanted to address kids, teens, and, you know, young adults with the basketball court. But now phase 3, which I'll go into in a second, is we want to make sure that we're not leaving adults and seniors out. So that's the next part. So there's a whole element here where we want to include the seniors so that now we have a park. When I'm talking about this, I'm talking about Katy, where I envision a time where you have 3 generations of people all doing something separate there, and they're all together, but they're at the same park. You got the seniors maybe walking around a track. You got the kids playing basketball. You got somebody on the playground. You got somebody sitting looking at the creek. That's the long-term goal. And I think I haven't found anybody that disagrees with that. I think it's kind of common sense. But this was the other part, right? There was also an economic point to this, that people will, if we can get more people to spend time here, they'll spend money here, right? And I think we're slowly starting to see that. But by and large, this was an investment, right? There was the fund balance there. We know what we're doing with that, and this is part of that. But this is an investment in us. And I think there was a feeling that we had stopped investing in ourselves. So this was part of that. And what do you get with that investment? I think you get these things. And I felt it. So on Friday, we officially opened it, and I was pulling out of Katy, and there were a couple kids sitting there, and they thought the park was still closed. And I rolled my window down, and I said it was open. I mean, the look on their face made it all worthwhile. I wish you had seen it, because it was like, that's exactly why we did it. They were legitimately excited. I felt like they were proud of the town they lived in, and we did it. So it really, if I could have taken a picture of that, I would have. You might recognize this. This was the original drawing, and it's funny, like compared to this original SketchUp, which was done by Rich Tompkins. He donated this early on. This was right after a meeting when it was snowing in January 2024. But by and large, we were pretty close to that. So without further ado, this kind of gives you an idea of what it was and what it is. And I think a lot of people hadn't gone up there in a long time, but it was definitely, it wasn't being used. And I hadn't seen these photos in a while, but it's actually pretty incredible what it was and what it turned into. So, you know, happy to report that it's open. I've seen some kids out there already. I do want to flag this to everybody. As awesome as this is, as beautiful as it is, this isn't done. So if you like this and you think this is great, you haven't seen anything yet, because we haven't put the finished surface on it. We just ran out of a little bit of time. But next year, it's going to be covered with an acrylic basketball-friendly surface that's going to be smooth. This is just asphalt with temporary lines. But we wanted to do this because we didn't want to open it and not have it be ready to play. But in April, when the weather breaks, we're gonna paint it, and I think that's gonna blow people away with what it looks like. But right now, it's open and it's ready to go. So, in terms of that, when we look at like phase 3, and this isn't my idea. We're gonna come. We'll present. The public's gonna weigh in. This is definitely our park. But I think high level, Councilman Cookingham is helping with the lights. I know that's in the works. He stepped up and really helped me out, so I really appreciate that. But these are some easy ones. So the biggest one is the cleaned up creek. So that's going to happen next year, whether it's with groundskeepers, whether we hire a contractor. I think it's a little bit of a combination of both. But if you actually go over there and look at it, it's not covered in weeds. There's just a couple low-hanging branches that need to be cut. But, I mean, we have a gold mine there in terms of a creek, so we got to utilize it. We were hiding it. I mean, it was behind all these weeds. It was behind this fence that looks like it's a jail. So there's just some little things that we can do to really open that up. So that's the first one. That's absolutely going to get done. The re-roofed pavilion, I'll skip down one. That one, I know the supervisor already has numbers, but whether we paint it or whether we re-roof it, that's a no-brainer. It'll likely end up being the same blue color that you see on the playground, which will make the thing pop. We can repaint the buildings. That's relatively low-hanging fruit to just make the place look better than it has for the last couple of years. Fence improvements. This will be a longer conversation. I'm open to anybody's opinion on this. My take is I think the fences are too high. I know the fence was high on the outside. It was to prevent baseballs from getting hit into the parking lot. But I haven't seen anybody playing baseball down there that's going to hit a ball anywhere near that anytime soon. But, watch, we lower the fence, and then there are going to be all kinds of adult leagues, and someone's going to get a windshield broken. So I get it. But my bigger issue with the fence is it just doesn't look super inviting. So if we have to leave the fences, how can we soften it? How can we make it look prettier? It looks like Sing Sing when you pull down there, right? So, how can we just make it look a little bit less like a jail yard? I think one way could be to lower them. Maybe there's plantings, maybe there's trees, I don't know. But that's one thing I think we can do. But the big one in terms of the seniors is this walking path. So there is a plan, and we'll come back and show people what the idea is. I think Doug's going to play an integral role in this, as will the board and the public. But there's an opportunity here to do a path around the outside, so in between the dugout and the playground, a path through there, along the basketball court, outside the fence. We could do it inside the fence. There's logic to do it that way too. It'll be like a warning track in baseball. But my thought is we do it outside the fence. Then you're not going to make anybody angry. And then when you get to the parking lot, how do you do that? You probably do some sort of a barrier. But either way, you have an opportunity to do a whole lap. And people are doing this today. If you go down there are people that are walking around there having to go through the woods. So they're already beating the path. We just need to give them a smooth way to do it, especially if they're in wheelchairs, right? This needs to be open to anybody. Where I think we need some design idea and some artistic element to this is, what do you do when you come through the big gate and near the pavilion? Do you jog it over so you can walk along the creek? Do you pull that old playground out? Because that's coming out. What do we do with that? My thought is, like, if you can have a path that's next to the creek and then you cut it back in, great. If not, I don't know. But it's like, people do want a walking path, one way or the other. Yeah, do we leave that and we do a dog park? I don't know. We got all kinds of options. But I would say we did the hard part. So now this is the fun part where we can get a little bit more artistic here and bring in the seniors, because they're the ones that the next part is for them. So just a couple shout outs. So first, I'm glad you're here, Doug. So Doug from MJ, you were absolutely amazing to work with. And I think this was not an easy project. And before I kind of go down my list of thank yous, I do owe, I'm sorry to the baseball and the softball team. The one kind of collateral damage with this, when we started this project, the project was supposed to be done in like May or June. I was taking off on a trip. I was on the runway, and I got a text that said, "The well is not dead." I'm frantically calling Supervisor Albrecht, who's dropped everything to like save the day. If she hadn't done that, we would have had a disaster, because we were about to retire an active well. That was...
Poor Jason will never be the same.
So that is the reason why we didn't finish in the summer, and a lot of things that we weren't worried about ended up becoming more of an issue. But in fairness to the kids that play baseball and softball, I know it kind of screwed your season up. I know you couldn't play games on the light. I'm sorry. I hope you forgive us. We didn't mean it on purpose, but we had to finish the project. But Doug, the project, like taking that challenge, I think the biggest challenge that Doug had to deal with was having to deal with me on a daily basis, and you did that awesome. But handling the well, moving it, redesigning it, and then Dylan from NatureWorks, he's a Pleasant Valley resident now. He just moved here, but he did just a phenomenal job. And then the paving company, Ransani, and then Sport Tech is actually going to do the acrylics, but he's the one that came down and painted the temporary lines. But shout out to Supervisor Albrecht, who was there as much as I was, early morning meetings, planning, fixing things, making things work. But also shout out to the board that supported this through thick and thin. And also to the residents. Years ago when I ran, I was told that like Pleasant Valley doesn't ever want to do anything, the public's going to get mad at you. So I can just tell you that I am blown away with the support of this project. We had to come in here, we had to ask for more money. It was like an $85,000 change order because of the well and all that stuff. I didn't get any grief from anybody, and I really appreciate that from the public because it would have been easy to yell. I don't know if people were mad about that, but I can tell you what I was told about how the public reacts to projects, I have not seen it. So that means a lot to me personally. And then to the crew underneath it, there was the original crew. This was the folk, Brendan Johnson donated the survey, and then we had Rich Tompkins that did the drawing, and then we had Ed, Rich, and Councilwoman Chapman. We were there in the snow. That was the first meeting that I think happened in January that kind of kicked this thing off. But ultimately, I think it's something that we can build on, and we need more of this because this was a great example of everybody working together. This is a hard job. Sometimes we get split apart and pulled apart, but when everybody works together, we get things like this.
You're absolutely right. That's what makes this board so good and why we have accomplished so much is because of stuff like this.
So that's kind of the last point. I think Pleasant Valley, I think we need to realize that we are worth it. We are worth it as a community, we're worth it as a town, and I think there was a while there where we were starting to feel like we weren't worth investing in. The kids are worth it, the families are worth it, the seniors are worth it, and hopefully we can build on this. I have one thing I have to say. I don't want to end on any note, but I have to end on this. So, one, if I see kids, if you're listening, parents, if you're listening, this is your park. This is yours. We built this for you. This was built for you. This is your tax dollars that went for this. Protect it. Take care of it, right? I am so proud of the kids in this town. Nothing has been tagged on the playground. Everybody said you're going to get graffiti all over it. Now I'm going to say this, and somebody's going to do it tomorrow. But so far, kids have taken care of it. But kids, I implore you, take care of this court. We built this for you. Last note. So I saw, somebody sent me a picture over the weekend because they were excited about it. I saw the picture. I was super happy. I saw a father. I saw a son. I saw a dog on the basketball court. People, please. Dogs are not allowed in there in general, but they are really not allowed on the basketball court. So I'm begging you, please, take care of the court. But thank you very much, board. Thank you for all the support. Thank you, public. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, NatureWorks. It's something we can all be proud of.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
I
It
just want to
really
say,
was great.
you talk about the kids and whatnot, but I actually met like a guy in his mid-80s who is just thrilled about the basketball court because he used to play basketball and now he's going down there and playing basketball and he loves it. So.
By the way, one other note on the food pantry. I couldn't get the website up in time, but if you go on the website, you can click on the food pantry page, and there's information about how to donate and all that stuff.
Thank you. It really does look wonderful out there. I gotta tell you, and it's just gonna look better in the spring when everything gets done. And the first junior government group is who really wanted that court, so I gotta get them all together. Because they're older now. Some of them are seniors, some of them graduated, so. Okay.
So the biggest thing, by the way, anybody who knows basketball, I've already gotten this from a couple enthusiasts, it's a single rim court. So anybody who knows basketball, they will be very happy. Most of the time, municipal courts, they're like double or triple rims. You can't make a shot on them. They're brutal. I went there with a bunch of kids over the weekend. They were hitting swish after swish because they're single rims. If you don't play basketball, you don't understand why that matters.
No, I
But if you
don't.
know basketball, they'll be like, oh, they're single rims? Okay, that's, I think we're going to end up renting this court out for tournaments because there's no single rim courts around here. So,
Good, thank you. Okay, 13C, new town hall update, Councilman Reifenberg.
Yeah, so I have lots of notes here, but I'll keep it pretty quick. Just to piggyback off of Councilman Cookingham's remarks, so obviously we're pushing to be done by the end of the year. There are some things that we're working through with a particular contractor. They technically, every time we do a change order, it extends their contract. Everybody wants to be out of there yesterday, so we're pushing for that. Because we have to put out an RFP, the reason why we're doing January 1st to March 1st is realistically, we definitely will be moving somewhere within that time frame, and you have to put that range. We could put December, but we're just not guaranteeing that we'll be ready to go for December. So that's what's going on with the timeline. If you've gone by, there's the trees have been planted, the stone's been installed in the outside. This week you'll see the trailers that are out front getting removed, I think tomorrow or Wednesday. Later in the week and next week you'll start seeing the paving be completed. The ceilings are being installed, the drop ceilings on the first floor, that's all going in. All the lighting's pretty much installed on the second floor. In the courtroom, it's kind of cool because now you can actually see the layout of everything. There's a bunch of permanent fixtures that are built into the room that have been installed. The benches that we did on our own to save the markup, they're being delivered this week. In the meeting room, the front desk for the meeting has been built mostly. It's not finished, but it's there. We had a meeting last week with the audio-visual consultants to finish up and square away the stuff we needed for the RFP. I'm working with Emily right now. I have everything from them. They're putting together a CAD drawing to put as part of that as well. The custom-made stairs are getting installed, and we're doing coordination is going on with the sign contractor that we awarded to get that going. So it's super busy. There's just a lot of, we have a meeting, it's crazy. Tomorrow morning there's a meeting at 8 a.m. to discuss all the locks in every single door in the new town hall, because you have to figure out how the cores are going to be laid out, of who has access to what. So like just crazy stuff like that you never think of. So I don't know if you saw that email, but we're having a meeting at 8 a.m. That's all I have, unless somebody has any questions.
No, but it looks wonderful. And those trees look really good. If anybody goes by it, they're going to notice them right away. They're really tall.
Yeah, they had to be at least 4 inches thickness. And I just what was that?
Right
You'll
out front.
see they're in different spots in the landscaping.
Yeah.
I forgot to say this last time I gave an update at the last meeting. Rob in the highway department, we can't thank them enough.
Oh, yeah.
Just the amount of time and energy and the amount of money they saved the town by helping with all of the catch basins and drainage that was unforeseen with the property next door and just all of that. The town can't thank them enough, so especially with everything going on, so I appreciate them. That's all I have.
They did a wonderful job. Thank you. Okay, 13D, court officers for new town hall, Councilman Cookingham.
So with the new town hall that Mr. Reifenberg was talking about, and we know the town hall, the court system is going to be a lot bigger. We were talking about having the 4 extra court officers. With that said, if we wait until January 1st, they got to go through a month worth of training. So I would like to see if we could start letting them do the qualification and everything they need to December, so then that way January 1st they would be ready if we do get over there. So that's what I'm looking to try to get done, so the court officers can be a go-ahead. We already stated we were going to hire them. So
Have we, I know the interviews and stuff happened, have they chosen?
they've been chosen. It's just
So can
normally we would wait to January 1st to start this, but because of the training takes about a month in qualification. They
So-
didn't want to be behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, so can we get a resolution to hire them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, I have to order their uniforms and their ID, and they have to go on the DCJS police registry, so this all takes time.
And I need to order the,
Yeah, and.
the vests.
Yes.
Vests.
And the vests, so everything,
those
it just
other
takes a
things.
little.
And the stun, or the
Tom.
That's it. yeah.
stun guns.
Can you not do that until they're officially hired? Is there like an order of operations?
Yes, they have to do all of this in order to start,
Right,
in
but-
January.
But you can't start until we do this, right? It's
Right,
got- yeah.
right, you have to have a resolution first to hire
Resolution
them,
to-
and then I can start the process forward.
So
So
we'll
if
just do
I
that
could
next
get a
meeting.
resolution
Do the next meeting, right?
for next
Okay.
meeting.
Well, okay, maybe
Thank
we'll
you.
do Wednesday.
What's that?
Okay, we have one whopping resolution tonight. Okay, I'd like a motion for Resolution 1118 of 2025, amending Resolution 516 of 2025 for appointment of Town of Pleasant Valley basketball referees.
So moved.
Can I just say something? So I was informed tonight that one of the patched referees is no longer working for us.
Which one? The
Um,
bottom one?
Huh?
There's only one on there.
There's only one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we were informed tonight that apparently he informed the Recreation Department that he was not going to be coming back.
Oh, no wonder I
And-
couldn't get a hold of him. Okay.
So we have to amend that also.
Okay, so,
So I make a motion
Yes,
to
please.
amend Resolution 118 of 2025 to remove Tom Minow from the resolution at the bottom.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Okay. Yeah, I just have to vote, right? All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Okay, we have no items for special consideration. I'd like a motion to open the public comment portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Anybody would like to speak?
I sat too long. My knees are older than the rest of me. Couple things. The memorial at Mill. I've never heard anything come from the town board at meetings I attended. People sometimes ask, what's going on down there? And I said, I really don't know. It would be nice to at least mention these things that are coming up, because that's a major project. And I just point out that people,
Yeah, the pump system. Right.
I'm sorry.
We had told everybody about that, that there was, that they were redoing the pump at the mill site.
Oh, okay.
And putting a generator in and,
And they're putting it's not the memorial, it's behind it.
Yeah.
It's the building behind it, and they're gonna put a generator back there for it also.
Yeah, it's not the memorial that's being worked on. It's the pump house.
Pardon me?
It's not the memorial that's being worked on.
Oh,
Yeah, it's for the generator for the pump house. For the firehouse.
Firehouse pump house, that's behind the wall for the veterans.
okay.
But they have to have the whole area blocked off for them.
Yeah, they had a huge crane there, which caused a lot of conversation.
right, that was, they, just installed the generator for the, down there and the transfer switch. That was the fire department, when they had their budget meeting, was talking about that.
Okay, that's fine. the new town hall, I'm finally coming to fruition, but we've had good presentations where we saw what was going on, but I haven't seen or heard the financial part of that. I think there's a lot of questions I hear on that too. I see a notice that was advertised for the snow, our normal snow removal, no parking, but it was signed by Baxter. Is he still our highway superintendent?
Yes, he is.
Oh, okay. You, in the discussion about Melanie leaving, first of all, I think she's done a good job for the town. But it is, the way you worded the thing, it's actually a supervisor's appointment.
Yes, we're aware of that.
Okay. It just sounded different when I listened to the motion. Okay. Thank you.
What happened?
Could you raise the floor next time? It's a long way down.
Rebecca O'Halloran Circle. I just wanted to bring up two things tonight. One, you noticed something very interesting. At the four-way section with North Avenue, and then you've got the, the plaza and everything, the road, we were doing the town, the trick-or-treat going on, and we were coming from the firehouse, and then we noticed, going across, there's no light. Like, you can't see when you're walking across, like, if there's no buttons to go a certain direction, and like you can't see which, when it says okay walk, it doesn't have that. So this is one of the few intersections in town that I think is pretty heavily accessible to a lot of pedestrians. So when you go to walk across, you don't know, you have to just kind of play Frogger and hope that you're going to make it across on time, because there's no light on that other side saying walk or not walk, and both sides have that. So you just, yeah, all sides. So if you're standing straight looking at it like you're gonna cross, there's no light to tell you when to walk.
Yeah, so there's no walk lights if you
Yeah,
cross the county
running
road.
fast.
If you cross the state road, there's lights. And that's actually, somebody actually got hit once, I believe, crossing, unfortunately, I forget which side, Giacomo Lane, but yes.
We actually almost experienced that trying to run across, because we're running and we were like, okay, everybody stopped and we're trying to run across to the kids, and somebody almost came right through and kept going through when it was clearly they had the red light, but they almost kept going to just turn, but there's no light saying stop or not stop there.
I would like to ask you to write a letter to the state and the county,
It's a county
and
state
then
road.
I can back that up with calling each one and emailing them
Definitely.
about that, okay?
Definitely.
Because they're going to need to hear from residents about that.
Yeah, it was very interesting. So, and in conjunction with Mr. Deegan, thank you so much for, to everybody about all the work that's been done. Definitely, there's a lot of excitement going on down there, and I'm hoping that it continues. The only thing I can really mention is being a part of the recreation community so much. I've been seeing a lot of events getting canceled due to lack of staffing, and that kills me, because the big part is revenue, right? We talk about this all the time. The same weekend that there was supposed to be stuff happening here, I ended up going to other towns. Where was my money spent? Other towns. I know for a long time that this town was operational in a recreation department with 3 people. And we've slowly dwindled down, and now we've only got 1 person in that office. I know for a fact, I put my application into the ring. I know of other people that put their application into the ring, and all I can say is if this continues, who knows what other events are gonna get canceled? And that's certainly not what brings people here to do activities, and I would hate for that to continue. Thank you.
You have to go up to the podium, though. It is, but, you know, it's not like,
Thank you, Mary.
I kept looking at my notes and I didn't write it down, that's why I forgot it. Your discussion about cemeteries. I would be very careful with that one because we have quite a few cemeteries. You automatically are responsible for completely abandoned cemeteries. That's a state law. And the costs for these other cemeteries are gonna give them the same problem. I heard, and don't quote me on this one, but I think it's somewhere just below $500 to do Presbyterians each time. So if you're gonna do one, you gotta think about all of them. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
It's a good point. I just want to point out that the law that allows towns to help care for cemeteries is limited to those that are a public cemetery corporation, so they have to be organized a certain way under the law in order for the town to be able to help them. So I'm not sure if that would apply to other cemeteries as well.
okay, I'd like a motion to close the public comment portion of the meeting.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? And 17, town board comments.
Yeah, just, it's funny that, it's not funny, but that Rebecca brought up those lights because there's those 2 and there's also if you're crossing South Avenue, there's no lights, but there's also no overhead lights. So if anybody's crossing at night,
dark.
I've almost hit people making the turn on the South Avenue going to my house. So Deidre Houston, our county legislator who always responds, I'll reach out to her tomorrow if you guys are fine with that. She's the one that helped us get the bus stop installed. I'm sure she can get us a meeting with the Department of Public Works at the county to discuss it. So if the board's fine with me doing that, I'll reach out to them tomorrow.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. Thanks, Michael.
Anyone else?
I just had a question on the I've kind of lost track of the rec assistance. Are we still interviewing for that, or are we, is there any, and if you can't, if we don't know,
have
we
some
don't
people
know.
up there, but we already have rec assistants. So that's one of the reasons that I haven't, so it's a discussion for executive session.
Got it, but someone left, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that person's not being backfilled?
No,
Then
Yeah.
I was, that's not,
That's
okay,
okay.
got it. I was
That's all right.
looking to clarify. Okay, got it.
anyone else?
I also just wanted to make sure everybody gets out and votes tomorrow. Only 36% people vote in local elections when it's not a presidential election year. So please get out and vote, because 36% is horrible. So can't complain if you don't get out and vote.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's it? Okay. All right, well, there will be no executive session, so I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Have a good night. Thank you for coming.